Hi everyone, this is Niharika from Your Legal Career Coach. We are a mentorship platform for law students, and on our YouTube channel, you will find interviews with students and industry professionals to make your journey easier. Today, we have with us Revanth Blamuri. Revanth pursued his BBA LLB degree from Jindal Global Law School in 2023. He went on to work as a paralegal at JSA and also as an analyst at Deloitte, and is currently pursuing his Masters of Laws degree from the University of Sydney Law School. Welcome, Revanth. It's a great pleasure to have you on board.
Good to be here.
Diving into the questions, you opted to pursue your master's too soon after law school. So, what was the rationale behind taking that decision? And did you not think of getting some more experience before you could apply for an LLM?
Look, I mean, I think my situation is, I think, a little bit unique compared to most people because I think if you look at kind of my profile as well, you see that I did my LLM immediately after, but I didn't actually do 5 years of LLB. So the thing, and this is only, again, very unique to Jindal Global Law School, where actually the university basically has a couple of programs with multiple colleges abroad, where basically instead of spending 5 years of doing your bachelor's, you get to skip, I think, one semester, or you can actually, for some countries, you can even skip a whole year. You can finish 4 years and you can go to the UK or America to do your LLM. Or in Australia, I think it's you can do 4.5 years of your LLB and come here and do the full duration of whatever master's you're doing. And actually, you get to save 6 months. I'm not entirely sure if anybody else in India offers that kind of an opportunity. At least to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any other college. But that's why my situation was very unique because we had all these international opportunities in Jindal and that we could pursue. So when I kind of looked it up, I mean you can obviously do your masters after graduating or even after working, right? That's what a lot of people do. But for me, I think there was a thought that I thought maybe if I got a job and if I got too comfortable for a couple of years, I probably might not get the motivation to again leave that job and get back into study. I probably might be, if I'm being honest, quite lazy about that as well. Because I've actually seen a couple of people like I think one of my mentors at one of the law firms I interned at, I think he'd been there for 5 years. He'd wanted to do an LLM for a while. He kept postpone. I mean, I'm actually good friends with him to this day. He still hasn't done his LLM. He talks about wanting to go to Singapore to NUS to study, and he never does it. And I've also heard of lots of people who actually thought that okay, I'll get some experience first, and then I'll do an LLM, and they've never actually ended up doing it for lots of different reasons. For
Right.
career trajectory, blah blah blah, this and that. And for me, it was a combination of factors. It was for that unique opportunity that I had with Jinda, where I get to save time and actually finish up a lot sooner, and also this thought at the back of my head that I really don't want to and if I was being honest, because my education was, I think it was half of that was in COVID. I missed out on 2 years. I think deep down that feeling was there that actually I didn't get the full college experience. I only spent 2.5 years on campus, right?
Right.
2 years was at home, and I really don't consider that to be 2 years that I spent studying. It was two years of waste of time in my life, if I'm being honest. The 2 years that spent in COVID. So I felt I wanted to study more also. So I wanted that college experience for at least another year. I think while I think the combination of all of these things that kind of made me decide to just go for my master's right away.
Right. What were the key factors that led you to choose the University of Sydney for your LLM? And did you also receive any other offer?
Right. So I think, as I explained, right, we've got some unique opportunities with Jindal. So we've got, I think there's lots of colleges. I think they've got a couple of options in the UK, in Europe, in America, and Australia. For me, actually, it was quite specific that I didn't want to go to America or the UK. I wanted to come to Australia because it had been something on my mind for a while now. Because I mean, I remember before I even started law school in Jindal, the thought that everyone goes to the UK for the LLM, right? That was a thought at the back of my head. But I think over time, I'd done my own research. I think for personal reasons also, Australia felt like the right country for me in comparison because I wasn't sure about coming back and I wasn't sure about staying back. So I think with my future being uncertain, I felt like it was a good place to be for a lot of immigration, a lot of work reasons as well. So when I knew that Australia was the place, I think Jindal offered three different programs in Australia with University of Sydney, with I think Monash University in Melbourne, and with another university called UTS, which is also in Sydney. I applied to all three of them. I did get into all three of them, but University of Sydney, I think it is the best option right now in all those options. And I think we're ranked in the top 20 law schools in the world. I think it's something around that. If I can't tell the exact number, but I'm sure that it's in the top 20 law schools in the world. So, obviously a good ranking helps. I think
Right.
a good brand is always important, no matter what anyone says. I think having going to a college which has a really good ranking, which is well known, and I think while it is top 20 in the world, I think it's only in the top one or two in Australia. I think it might be in the top one, two, three. So that meant a lot to me. And then, so with the same program that I'm doing right now, I had seniors also who had gone there, like Jindal, obviously seniors who did the same program before me. Like I think there was two of them that I spoke to in Australia about what options. They all suggested that this is a good college, and again, because of my interest in what kind of specialization I want to do and all of that stuff, also I think it made sense to choose the University of Sydney over the other two colleges which I already got into as well, UTS and Monash. It's just that yeah, it just felt, and I think I also wanted to come to Sydney instead of Melbourne. It's just again a personal choice. That's
Right.
something anyone can also do. Like it's a personal choice, right? Which city you're going as well. It's that, and I think yeah, a couple of reasons along that side with my particular specialization requirements and with my I think idea that I wanted to come to Australia. It really narrowed down the option. I think it was fairly quick to narrow it down. I didn't really give it too much thought into so many colleges. Yeah.
Right. So can you please share the application process at the University of Sydney for international students and prepare for the same right now? So maybe for final year students, if you could say anything.
Yeah, of course. I think the application is very straightforward. I think I'm not entirely sure when the application dates close, but I would guess but I would just recommend that anyone who wants to come at least apply 4 to 5 months in advance, at least 4 to 5 months uh, before you want to start your semester. So there's two intakes, right? The semester one and semester two. In
Right.
Australia, semester one's actually February, so that's a interesting thing to note apart. It's not like the UK or US where semester one starts in September, right? Or in Australia, semester one is February, semester two is July. So 4 to 5 months in advance is the bare minimum. If you have time, I think it's amazing if you can do it 6, 7 months before as well, because then it gives you a peace of mind to get all of your application, because it takes a while. I think the application for you to hear back can take anywhere up to a month, sometimes even 8 weeks. So it gives you peace of mind to get that done. Then you got to get your visa, your financials also sorted. So it's a time consuming process. I would say get started 4 to 5 months at the bare minimum. And with the application itself, right, it's very straightforward. I think there is no entrance exam or such. I think you've got to have an English test that you have to write, whatever it is, IELTS, or there's another one called PTE, and then I'm not sure if they accept TOEFL. I think they might, but I think IELTS is a best one. But if I'm being honest, you might even get in without actually doing that. No, I got in without writing an English exam because of our special partnership with Jindal. But I think if you can prove that your education up until university, your bachelor's level was in English, I think if you provide some sort of certificate from your college saying that, they might even waive that requirement.
Right.
I mean, it's not a guaranteed thing that will happen. I would still say it's if you can just write IELTS and get it done. Of course, if you're considering multiple colleges in multiple countries, just use that score. And I think you also have to I believe there is a statement of purpose. I think there is an SOP that you have to write. It's not that huge. It's fairly small, but just because they want an idea of what you want to do when you come here. It's
Right.
very simple, very straightforward.
Great.
I think that's about it. That's the application process in itself. There's nothing complicated, very straightforward. All your details, like the application form, at least as far as I remember, is all very straightforward in that. Only thing is probably your IELTS and the SOP. Just put some effort into it. I think that's all that matters.
Right. Any challenges did you face while filling your form during the application?
Um, I mean, there weren't really challenges. I would say I was just more anxious about getting in, right? I spoke to my
Right.
seniors as well, and they were like, "It's very easy, it's very straightforward." I was just stressing out about my own SOP and my own but it's actually I mean, this is a good college, but it's nowhere near as hard as getting into Cambridge or Harvard, where I think your SOP is really that important, right? I think I've had friends that have gone there, and I know how hard it is and how important it is. Here, it is important. I'm not saying it's not. It's just it's a relatively straightforward one. Just be yourself, be honest, give them an idea of why you're coming and what you want to achieve with the degree, and I think it should be okay.
Right. What kinds of specializations does this university offer?
So with the masters itself, like with the LLM itself, I think it's different in the sense that they have lots of specializations, but the LLM is just considered one degree. That's a general LLM. That's called the Master of Laws. Like that's just one. And then they have a couple of other degrees called Masters of Business Law, Masters of Environmental Law, Masters of Criminology, Masters of Health Law, Masters of Labor Law. They're all LLMs. It's just they're not officially called LLMs. Like what
Right,
you do in those all degrees also is the same as someone that's doing the general LLM will do. It's just that for the namesake concept
right,
thing, it's not called like an LLM specialization in that. It's just called Master of, because in Master of Criminology, you'll probably study if you're doing so if you're into crime and if you want to be a criminal lawyer, you want to do all that sort of stuff. That's what you study. And then if you're also doing like a master's in environmental law, it's literally what's in the name, right? You'll study a lot of environmental law subjects and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so that is in that sense. But in my personal view, obviously, not every university is going to have every program that's amazing. If you're coming to Sydney, if you're coming to USyd at least, that's the acronym for the university. If you're coming here, I think the programs that are genuinely good are the corporate law, the business law program, and then the environmental law. I think these two are very notable. These two are the really. I think these are two courses that the university does really well in. Like they have lots and lots of electives. The other ones are also there, but in my personal opinion, I think these two are, if you're really serious about getting the, like if you getting specialized in these areas, you should come here. And if you're looking at the other ones, I would say still take a look at the course structure, the courses being offered. If they make sense to you, then it's good. Then you can actually come here. Because if you're interested in certain other specializations, there are other universities in Australia which actually might make more sense to you to go there instead.
right. So you opted for a general LLM for that?
I did opt for a general LLM, but the reason I opted for a general LLM is because I kind of split my master's. Like my thinking behind was that I'm interested in, well, my area of interest and my specialization is actually in, it's like an energy and environmental law. So that's really new energy, clean energy, sustainability, and then a little bit of environmental law, and then also mixed with corporate law. Because I think if you look at how the industry is going, right, a lot of law firms have a lot of ESG, at least abroad. I know in India, it's still, I think, very, it's just up and coming, but at least abroad, every major firm has a very a particular environmental corporate team that handles all these kind of matters for companies and all. So I really split my masters into, even though it is a general LLM, I split it into half. I was doing half of, say, corporate law, business law subjects, and really half of environmental law and energy-based subjects. That's how I split it. But it is a general LLM because I just wanted that flexibility of choosing those. Yeah.
Right. So what clinical experiences or practical legal training did you undertake during your LLM? And how is it
Um,
contributing to whatever you have in mind?
yeah. I think there's a couple of options here. I think the university, I think itself, they have a couple of different research centers. I think for different special. I think there's a research center for the environmental law. There is a corporate law research center. There is a health law research center, an international law research center. All of them, I think they all take interns. So you've got those opportunities there. I mean, they are pretty coveted opportunities. There's a lot of people that want to get in. But if you have a good resume, if you have good if you can, well, if you can show your on your application that you're a good fit, you might get into it. They're not that hard to get in, and they're all paid opportunities. The university pays you to do these research internships for the research center. I think it's a fixed commitment of 60 or 70 odd hours in a semester. So it's also good money at the same time. That's one amazing opportunity that's available. I mean, not all of them take master students. Some of them only take bachelors, but I'm pretty sure around three to four different of these research centers, they do take master students as well. So it's a good opportunity that's available. And then there is also, I think, I'm not sure if this is entirely limited to criminology or another specialization. You get to do a criminal justice in placement as part of your masters. I think so instead of one subject, you get to do that placement. It's considered as one subject, but I think you get to go to a court or under a barrister, and I think you get to spend some time with them as part of that placement, which is considered a subject. I think that's there in the criminology thing. I think there might be something else for another specialization. I'm not entirely aware of that. But those are literally some of the opportunities that are available for you. And if you're talking purely clinical and placement opportunities, like something like that is available right now.
As a student yourself, do you think we should research for credit or should we research for money?
I mean, I think it depends, right? Because like I think that uh well, at least the placement thing I was telling you, that one I think is very limited. I'm not entirely sure. The only one I'm aware of is the one that you do for the masters in criminology, the criminal law side of things. I'm not entirely aware if it's available for anything else. But the other research internships that you do, I mean, do it if you're interested, right? I mean, the money will come if you're good at it, and if you think you'll end up getting the placement, then do it. The money is obviously very nice to have. It pays really well, but more than anything else, you should only apply if you think you're eligible for that. But if you, it's a waste of I think it's a waste of your time if you're applying without the appropriate qualifications to think you'll get into that research center, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, yeah, I would definitely say go for the if you're in that criminology, or if you're in a program where there's an opportunity for you to do a placement, absolutely take that, because I think that's more valuable than doing a research internship if you actually have a work placement. Because it's really hard to get a job or a internship, right? I think, and when you're getting something through your university, you got to take advantage of something like that. But also, definitely, the research internships are something to consider because they do offer something for you as well. I think it's a balanced thing. Make a sound decision no matter what you're doing.
What is the typical class size for LLM students, and how does this impact the classroom experience and the student-faculty interactions?
Right. I think, well, if we're talking about the entire program size, it's very. I don't have an exact number because there's a lot of part-time students as well. Like a lot of the local Australian students, they don't really study full-time in engineering. They enroll in an LLM, but they probably do it in a span of 3, 4, 5 years, and they might only do one subject per semester.
Mm.
So you'll have a lot of those part-time students as well. So, but if we're only talking full-time, I think there aren't that many, probably a couple of hundred, maybe 200, 300 full-time students in total, if that, which I'm not entirely sure of. And then if we're coming to a specific class size, right? Of course, depending on the subject you're enrolling, that's how it'll depend. There is no fixed number. I mean, from personal experience, I've been like in one particular international law, uh, a subject that covered international law. I think there was almost 50 to 60 people. That was that. But then that was the only class which had that many people. And I think I've also had one subject which was offered the first time, like when I was doing it, and it only had, I think, 15 people, less than 15, sorry. And then there's also I think the majority of the classes have been roughly around anywhere between 20 to 40. That is on average, that's the number. But I've also, like I said, I've been in a subject which had more than 50 and around 60 people, and I've also been in a subject which only had 10 people. And if you ask me, of course, the subject that you're in with 10 people, there's a lot more interaction with the professor. There's a lot more interaction among the peers as well, among your students, and a lot more goes on, a lot more happens in that subject. But I think you shouldn't expect to have that few people, because that was a very niche subject. That is not something everyone does. That actually, it's a funny story. I myself actually ended up enrolling in that subject because something else I was in ended up getting cancelled, and
Oh.
that was the nearest, let's say, match that I was looking for. But regardless, it was an amazing. I think if you do end up getting just a class of 10 people or 15 people, it's going to be an amazing experience, especially the faculty interaction as well. But that doesn't automatically mean that when you're in a class full of 50 people, right, you'll have zero interaction, because
Right.
ironically, there's a lot of Chinese people in UCIT and in the masters, and for the lack of a better word, they just don't really interact that much. So your chances of interacting more with uh, the professors are quite high. And
Mm.
and it's all about what kind of person you are. If you're an outgoing person that likes to interact with the faculty more, that likes to get a lot of, because more than anything else, the teaching style at UCIT is, at least, it's very dependent on you, because the professors, they're only here to teach the subject material. They're not. This is not India where you're not going to get spoon fed with anything. You got to come
Right.
prepared. Got to be prepared in the class. If you're coming, you got to make sure you do all the readings and show up to class, and then you can make the most of it by unloading that into the class, and by grasping whatever the professor is giving out. That's a great idea to do. And in that sense, I think no matter how big the class size is, not everybody's going to be talking to the professor. Not everybody's going to be raising questions. It's going to be very limited, because a lot of people, probably, they're not even that comfortable with the language, so they
Right.
won't they won't they'll be extremely hesitant to ask anyway. And I think these are the situations where you can shine the most, and you can also get more experience out of the whole class and everything. But as I said, there is no fixed number for the class. It can depend between that really low number or this really high number. And on average, you can expect a class size about 20 to 30.
Right. So your profile mentions you're a part-time casual academic tutor. So can you tell us what it is, and can you tell us what more about it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so of course you can do a lot of, I think every faculty in the university, they have different tutoring programs, right? I work as a tutor part-time, just I probably tutor. I mean, it's very on and off. It's not in my hands. Usually, when if you think if you already studied a subject, or if you think you've got experience in a certain subject, and if somebody's looking for that subject, so the university has different centers basically. Who I tutor is I tutor indigenous and native students of Australia, people who are like from disadvantaged backgrounds. The university pays free of cost for them to get tutored. I think 2 classes per week per subject, and they usually post. Again, that's just one particular type of tutoring. There's lots of different tutoring options in the university. Again, that is also spread across different faculties, different programs, etc. And different, for example, you might find PhD students tutoring masters, you might find master students tutoring bachelors, and all that stuff happens. But just to stick to where I'm coming from, so it's just that particular center, they posted this thing saying they needed tutors that could teach this subject. And I realized, okay, I have experience in that. I can maybe teach that subject. And then like in that way, you have a lot of other people that can teach a lot of subjects as well. So if you apply and if you're accepted, then generally that student that needs it, they'll book us. There's a platform, they'll book a session, and then you go and teach them. It's an hourly session, and the pay is also per hour. It's a pretty good pay, but it's a very on and off thing. You tutor maybe once or twice a week. Sometimes you'd probably even tutor just once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's just a very on and off thing, but it's a tutoring thing. It's just a
Right.
part-time. It's nothing. It's not a consistent. It's not. I wouldn't call it a proper part-time job. It's something that I also do because I felt like I can maybe help some people as well at the same time. I think so in that way it's an opportunity that's available. Again, if you think you can do that subject, you can teach, because you got to be really confident, right? You're going in and you're teaching these people. These are all students at the same university as you. You got to be. You can't just say that, okay, I think I can teach this and go in and assume that you can teach that. That's not how it works. And especially if you're getting paid as much as you are getting paid, it's not a good idea to be doing those things either.
Right. So scholarships and financial aid are very crucial for some students. So can you discuss about any scholarship or any financial aid opportunities that students can benefit from during this program?
So right now, I think I mean, it should be there for this year as well. I'm not entirely aware uh, that it got changed, but the university basically offers students from, because they want to apparently increase the diversity, they offer students from a number of countries a 20% discount on their fees. So, for example, I think the fees was $58,000 or something, and I think they automatically, when you apply in the application form, you can automatically apply for a 20%. It's called a Sydney International Student Award. Any student can get it. You don't need to have a merit or anything for that. As long as your degree is eligible for that, I think you can just apply, and you'll automatically get a 20% discount on your fees. I think that's a standard thing. It should be there for next year, as far as I'm aware. But I will always say, make sure, just do your research and make sure that's available. That 20% student award discount is available uh, for whichever intake that you're going for. I know it's there now, but I don't know if it's going. I don't know if it's going to be there 2 years from now, 3 years from now, etc. And like, but that's something anyone can get. So that's the easiest thing you can apply for, and you're 99.9% guaranteed to get that. It's a nice 20% discount. It's like $10,000 off on your fees, which is a good thing. And on top of that, I think there are scholarships. So there's university level scholarships, and then there's faculty level scholarships. So university level scholarships are for anyone, and faculty are again limited to the law school.
Right.
So the university level scholarships, again, they are also split into postgrad, undergrad, uh, domestic, and international. So you'll have a pop-up there when you go to the website and look into scholarships, and I think you can filter through if you're an international student, if you're a master's student, or if you want to look at faculty, then you go click on the faculty specific scholarships. There are a number of them available. I think there's obviously some amazing scholarships which pay out your entire tuition fee, or which give you 40,000 a year. But naturally, you should know that something like that is very hard to get, and you're competing with a lot of people, and an academic merit is very important in those cases. And your financial situation also matters, right? If you're from an extremely economically disadvantaged position, you might get better priority in getting those kind of full tuition scholarships that anyone can apply for and get that all or that covers basically 95% of your fees. But again, it's also not only specific to the course and the thing, it's also specific to the intake. So some scholarships will only be available for semester one, some will only be available for semester two. So I mean, I can't, obviously, I'm not going to list out every scholarship that's there, because I'm not even aware of all of them. I am aware of a certain couple of them which I can explain, at least the ones that I've got. But yeah, I think the website is very easy. like as I said, there's scholarships split into faculty, into the type of student you are, into the intake you are, into even the course that you're doing. There's also course specific ones. I think when we come to that level, I think again the general masters, again the specialized masters, they all have their own specific scholarships as well. But the one I would recommend people, or the one I would say that I would advise any people to apply for is the course specific scholarship that gives you a $10,000 scholarship on top of that 20% discount I told you about. These are, I think they'll be available in there. It'll mention that if you're an LLM student, or if you're a master's of criminology student, or if you're a master's of business law student, if you're studying any of these, it'll be mentioned in the description that you can apply for that. I think you only need to have, I think, a 75%. Again, I'm not entirely sure how what that translates to in terms of GPA, because different colleges have different GPAs. But if you have a 75%, I think you can apply for that scholarship, and you're very likely to get it if you apply, and if you have a 75% average in your undergrad. Those are the ones I'll recommend people to apply, because that's one I applied and I got as well. The ones which are again full tuition, or the ones which pay a higher amount, like 40, $50,000, those are very hard to get. You can apply absolutely, but don't waste your time and apply if you don't have academic merit, or if you're not really from that much of a economically disadvantaged position. And I also think you can apply for financial aid. Financial aid is again very different. I think there is a process where you can apply for it. Um, I think you can only apply for it if you have no money at all, and if you can't pay your fees, and if you're really financially, I think if you're at a zero, and if you really need the university to help you out, you can apply. I have personally haven't heard of anyone that have applied or have got it, and I'm not entirely aware of the criteria for that as well, because I did see it somewhere, but I know that they offer, but I think that's something that anyone wants to come should apply for. I mean, should do their own research about that. But with respect to scholarship, as I've said, there's lots and lots of options available, different criteria, different varieties, uh, different value of the amount you'll receive. But the ones I recommend, I think that you should apply, at least the two that I've specifically mentioned, the ones I've got at least, I think anyone can apply and get.
Right. So, lastly, based on your own journey and experiences, what is the one piece of advice that you would offer to current aspirants?
I think I think the one we started out with, the LLM, I think you really need to get an idea on why you want to do an LLM, because it is really, I think it would be really dumb to think that you want to do an LLM just because you want to get a job in a different country. That's not how it works.
Right.
An LLM is not the an LLM is not the pathway to a job in a different jurisdiction. That's not how it works. No matter which country you're at, America, the UK, or here, you're competing with somebody that's a local graduate. At the end of the day, no matter if you do an LLM, or if you come with a lot of experience, you're always competing with somebody who has a local degree, and they'll always be preferred over you. So just don't think an LLM is a pathway to a job. If you're coming for an LLM, yeah, I think what you can do to get a job is you can always network. I know people are hearing a lot of these days that networking is really important, but it is really important, and more than a random assumption that you'll get a job with an LLM, because there is no placement concept here. This is not India. They don't. There is no concept of campus placement, 0 day, or job offer, etc. That concept doesn't work in here. There is no official. There are career fairs where different companies come, and you can go talk to them, and you can find out about what they offer, and what kind of thing they do. But that's all that happens. That is not a recruitment event. They're not here to give you a job. They're just here to promote their company. That's it.
Right.
So if you have that clarity that if you're coming here for a job, don't do that. That's my personal advice. Because of course I did not come with that mindset, but I've also come here and seen how hard it is for people to get
Mm.
jobs as an LLM graduate, right? Because if you really want to get a job in another country, just do a JD. I think a JD is more realistic. It's a longer commitment, but just do that. But if you are coming here for an LLM to go back and to India and then do something else, that's a good idea. I think if you're just here for the study element, and you want to get a good experience, you wanna have an LLM under your belt, you want to go back, maybe it adds some value to you in India, that's a good idea. Or you want to get into academia, you're considering that route as well. You think a PhD is in it for you in the future, and you're unsure. Absolutely, I think you can do that as well. That's a good idea, because I think in University of Sydney there are a lot of good PhD opportunities available. They do offer good scholarships for PhDs. assuming you have those qualifications, you have that CV that can demand a good PhD application, right? So I think get your priorities straight. Everyone says that, everyone will always say that when you're doing an LLM, because it is really important. LLMs are expensive, and I personally don't think they add any value to anyone, especially in terms of getting a job. I personally do not think they add value back in India or in the country that you're doing it. I think it adds zero value. What adds value is what you do in that time you're here. As long as you make the most of it, I think you should be fine.
Right. With this, I believe we have covered all we needed to know about masters from University of Sydney Law School. Thank you so very much for being here and sharing your experience. I am very positive this video will be of utmost help to everybody watching it.
No, I'm glad. I hope that this will be. I hope this clarifies a lot for people that are interested. Yeah.
It sure does. Once again, on behalf of ILCC, I wish you the very best for your journey ahead. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.